Good morning, students. Today we will see about what is hypothesis. The hypothesis under we are formulating in the beginning of the research, right? So, what is hypothesis? What is the characteristics of hypothesis? What is the types of hypothesis? In my study, how I can formulate the hypothesis. To formulate the hypothesis, I need the like I need to have a knowledge regarding what is hypothesis, and the basic knowledge is there. I can able to formulate the hypothesis. So what is the definition of hypothesis? Hypothesis is the it's a prediction about the relationship between the two or more variable is called the hypothesis. We have seen the last class what is variable, right? What is the types of hypothesis? The types of hypothesis divided according to the intellectual machinery, it is called the inductive hypothesis and deductive hypothesis. According to the wording, it is a simple hypothesis, complex hypothesis, multivariate hypothesis. Simple hypothesis, example, I can say smoking causes lung cancer. Complex hypothesis maybe will be one dependent variable, many independent variable, or one independent variable, two dependent variable. Many things it is so complex. So any diseases, for example, smoking, lung cancer, coronary heart diseases, isn't it? Or the it's so complex. So causing what mental depression or affecting the health. So it's many complexly I can tell this one. So many things, and multivariate it is not only like smoking, lung cancer and depression also will be affecting. So various aspects I can say. This is so simple one is one dependent, one independent. Complex is one dependent, many independent, or one independent, many dependent. All, so this is a multivariate. Not only the this is condition, also some other variables also will be there. Depression and other things also will be affecting coronary heart disease, hereditary or smoking, alcohol, and also psychological variable also will be included. Then will be according to the anticipated relationship. It is called the directional and non-directional. Directional is giving some idea about it is directing. If eating kejur means eating of dates may increase the hemoglobin level, maybe giving some direction. Non-directional, sometimes the age is increasing, risk of falling will be age and risk of falling. It is this two we are comparing. Any age also you can fall, any age also there will be a risk. Child also will fall, old age also will be fall, adult also if the slippery floor they will fall. So this is called non-directional, this one. And the research hypothesis or substantive or declarative or scientific hypothesis, null hypothesis and abstract hypothesis, measurable hypothesis, and the descriptive hypothesis, exploratory hypothesis, and explanatory hypothesis. So these are all the different types of hypothesis. Understand? Declarative research hypothesis will be declarative hypothesis. If you do, this will increase. It's also the scientific hypothesis. Okay. Null hypothesis may or may not. It may or it may not. The null hypothesis of we can say that there is no significant relationship between the stress level and the treatment seeking behavior of the infertile woman, or there is no significant relationship between the mental health and the academic performance of the students. There will be no significant relationship. When it is telling there is no significant relationship, that's called null hypothesis. But the research hypothesis, there is a significant relationship between eating of amla dates, honey will be reducing the risk of developing anemia. That's giving some directional, isn't it? Some things is abstract hypothesis. These hypothesis is it is not so clear. It is so abstract. Hypothesis will be there. Now mainly you can see these kind of hypothesis in a qualitative studies. Understand? Some hypothesis is a measurable hypothesis. Some hypothesis can be described. It is describing the phenomenon. It's called the descriptive hypothesis. Explorative hypothesis, explaining the phenomenon. Explanatory hypothesis, it's explaining this hypothesis. If you do the correlational, some hypothesis will be explaining so the fact. So these hypotheses are explanatory, explorative hypothesis. Okay, we are talking about hypothesis. It's mainly we are telling this. It's a predicting the relationship between two or more variable. What is should be the characteristic of hypothesis? How the hypothesis should be? Why the hypothesis important? When you correctly formulate the hypothesis, then only you can test. The research is nothing but testing of the hypothesis, correct or not? So that rightly you can formulate the hypothesis, then you can generate the question, correct question order you can prepare to test the hypothesis in accurate manner. For that you have to have some characteristics is very important to know how the hypothesis should be. The hypothesis should be answer to the research question. Then only it will be able to test what is the research you are going to do. And the hypothesis should be more clearable and it should be more testable and it should be precise and it should be so simple and it should be understandable and it should have some logical, not logical, and it is expressive in the present tense and it should be a declarative statement manner. It's a very important. It should be in a logical, right or not? I cannot formulate the hypothesis like sun or the moon, this one exposed to the moonlight will reduce this kind of a disease. How I can measure it? How much is the moonlight? How I can measure? The sunlight daylight factor are there in a community, but how much it is affected, what is it? So I cannot measure it. So I have to be logically, I have to think whether if I put this study I can able to do it or not. So accordingly I have to remember these characteristics while formulating the hypothesis. Understand? So it should answer to the research question, it should be clear, it should be testable, it should be precise, simple, it should be understandable, it should be logical and expressed in a present tense and it should be a declarative statement manner. So most of the time hypothesis also being asked as a 5-mark question. You can write this algorithm and you can write it. When there's a simple and complex, you can write simple means you can write like this, you can x and y. You can write x means what is dependent variable, y means independent, or smoking and lung cancer. And complex hypothesis you can make many complex. You can write x1, x2 or y, what is y1, y2, and you can write what is x1, x2 or what is this smoking or alcohol and what is the disease are causing. It's complex. So you can write multivariate. You can not only smoking and other things, some psychological aspects also you can add it. So like this in a pictorial manner you explain. If it is accordingly they asked for a 10-mark question, and what you do is in a 10-mark question if they asked you write symbol, one example you write it, multivariate you write, and complex you can write one and with the example you explain, you will get 10 mark. If not, you just write this algorithm and just write it and write the characteristics. This may be the definition, this is the types and characteristics. Surely will get 5 out of 5. Thank you.